Have you ever noticed how some people just love to test your boundaries? They interrupt, throw passive-aggressive comments, or act like your time and feelings don't matter. And society tells us to just smile and let it go. But let's be real, that's not working anymore. If you're tired of putting up with people who don't respect you, this video is for you. Today, I'm breaking down brutally honest, maybe even a little controversial, ways to handle disrespect without losing your cool and without sacrificing your self-respect. So buckle up, because by the end of this video, you'll have every tool you need to set clear boundaries and finally take your power back. Before we dive in, quick question. Have you ever had someone cross the line and you didn't know what to say? Drop your story in the comments. I'd love to read how you handled it. Now, let's get started. 1. Embrace the silent stare. Let me start by asking you something. Have you ever been in a situation where someone disrespected you? Not just with words, but with their tone, their attitude, the way they dismissed you as if you weren't even worth listening to? Maybe it was at work, maybe in your own family, or maybe even a stranger at the store. And in that moment, you felt your blood pressure rise, your chest tighten, and 100 comebacks racing through your mind. But none of them came out right. I've been there. We all have. And that's exactly why this first technique is so powerful. It doesn't require you to be clever. It doesn't require you to raise your voice. It doesn't even require you to say a single word. It's called the silent stare. Now, before you roll your eyes, let me explain why this works on such a deep psychological level. People who disrespect you are usually fishing for a reaction. They're testing you. They want to see if they can knock you off balance. It's like emotional bait. They throw out a hook, waiting for you to bite. And once you react, once you get angry, defensive, or flustered, they've won. They're in control. But here's the twist. When you don't give them that reaction, when you simply lock eyes with them, calm and steady, it's like pulling the rug right out from under them. Suddenly, they don't know what to do. Their script is ruined. Their power slips away. I'll tell you a story. Years ago, I was in a heated business meeting. You know the kind. Everyone trying to talk over each other, trying to prove they're the smartest in the room. There was one guy who decided I was an easy target. Every time I opened my mouth, he jumped in, cutting me off mid-sentence, talking louder, waving his hands as if my words didn't matter. At first, I tried to be polite. I smiled, I paused, I let him finish. But he wouldn't stop. And inside, I could feel that frustration building. You know that tightness in your chest when you're about to snap? That was me. But then, instead of snapping, I tried something else. I leaned back in my chair, crossed my arms, and fixed my eyes on him. Silent. No blinking. No words. Just calm, steady presence. 5 seconds passed. Then 10. And you could almost feel the shift in the room. People stopped fidgeting. The chatter died down. And this man, who had been so loud and confident just moments before, suddenly stumbled. His voice cracked. He lost his words. He looked down at the table, shuffled his papers, and just like that, he stopped. He never interrupted me again. That moment taught me something I've carried with me ever since. Silence is often louder than words. And this doesn't just work in meetings. Imagine someone at a family dinner making a snide comment. Instead of firing back or defending yourself, you just turn your head slowly, lock eyes with them, and let the silence stretch. Everyone else at the table feels it. The weight of it, that calm, unshaken presence speaks volumes. Or picture yourself at a store. Maybe the cashier is short-tempered or rude. Instead of matching their energy, you pause, hold their gaze, and say nothing. You'd be amazed at how quickly people back down when they realize they can't get under your skin. Now, let me pause here for a second and ask you something. Have you ever tried this? Have you ever responded to someone's disrespect with complete silence instead of words? If you have, share in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. And if you haven't, tell me. Do you think you'd have the patience to try it the next time it happens? And hey, While you're here, if you're finding this insight useful, hit that like button. It's a small action for you, but it makes a huge difference. It helps this message reach more people who might need to hear it today. Here's the beauty of the silent stare. It's not aggression. It's not passive aggressiveness either. It's self-respect in action. You're showing the other person, I see what you're doing, but I refuse to play. That quiet strength unsettles people in a way no loud argument ever could. Because let's be honest, how many times have you replayed an argument in your head, wishing you had said the perfect comeback? Hours later, you think, I should have said this. I should have said that. But the truth is, you don't need the perfect comeback. You don't need sharp words. All you need is composure. And in a world where everyone is quick to react, quick to shout, quick to argue, the person who stays calm, silent, and unshaken, that's the person who truly stands out. That's the person people respect. Even the ones who tried to disrespect them in the first place. So the next time someone comes at you with rudeness, sarcasm, or open disrespect, remember this. You don't have to fight back with words. Sometimes the strongest statement you can make is the one you never say. 2. Embrace silence as your answer. Let me ask you something right at the start. How many times have you walked away from a conversation, replaying it in your head, thinking, I should have said this, I should have defended myself, I should have put them in their place? We all know that feeling. It eats at you. You wish you had the perfect comeback. But here's the truth. Sometimes the most powerful thing you could have said was nothing at all. That's right, silence. Not the silence of weakness. Not the silence of giving up. But silence as a weapon. Silence as control. Think about it. People who throw negativity at you, whether it's sarcasm, insults, or little digs disguised as jokes, they want one thing, your reaction. That's their fuel. They thrive on seeing you flustered, defensive, or angry. It gives them power. It makes them feel in control. But when you don't give them that satisfaction, when you let their words just hang in the air unanswered, while you remain calm and unshaken, that silence becomes louder than any argument you could make. It's unsettling. It forces them to face their own words. And suddenly, they're left holding the weight of their own negativity with no place to put it. I'll give you a personal example. I once knew someone who loved to slip insults into conversations, always masked as jokes. You know the type, smirking, waiting for you to laugh along or get defensive. One day, in a group setting, he made a dig about my work, clearly fishing for a reaction. Everyone turned to me, expecting me to fire back or explain myself. But instead, I did nothing. I raised an eyebrow and stayed completely silent. The room got awkward. The silence stretched. He shuffled, fidgeted, and quickly mumbled something else to change the subject. And you know what? He never tried it again. My silence said everything. I don't need to justify myself. Your words don't touch me. And this is the beauty of silence. It stars disrespect. It removes the fuel that disrespect needs to survive. And the bonus? It protects your energy. Because every time you argue with someone who isn't listening, every time you explain yourself to someone who doesn't care, you're spending energy you'll never get back. Silence is how you keep that energy for yourself. Let me pause here and ask you something. Have you ever tried this before? Have you ever chosen silence instead of reacting and watched how it completely shifted the dynamic? Or maybe you've always felt the urge to defend yourself immediately. Be honest and share your story in the comments because your experience might inspire someone else to try it too. And hey, if you're finding this valuable so far, do me a favor, tap that like button. It's a tiny gesture, but it helps this message reach more people who might need to hear it today. Now here's a challenge for you. Next time someone throws a jab your way, whether the coworker undermining you, a family member making a sly comment, or even a stranger being rude, don't rush to defend yourself. Don't explain. Don't take the bait. Just pause, breathe, stay silent, and watch what happens. Because here's the ultimate truth. Silence isn't weakness. It's strength. It's choosing not to fight battles that don't deserve your energy. And when you master that, you radiate a quiet power that no insult can touch. 3. Stop explaining your choices. Let me start with a question that might hit close to home. How many times in your life have you made a decision you felt good about, only for someone to immediately ask you, why did you do that? Or maybe, are you sure that's the right choice? It happens more often than we realize. And here's the trap. We feel this sudden pressure to explain ourselves, as if our decisions need a stamp of approval from the world. Now pause for a second and think about this. Who actually gave them that authority? Who said your choices had to go through their approval process? Somewhere along the way, we were conditioned by parents, by school, by society, to believe we owe the world a justification for how we live. But the truth? You don't. Not at all. Here's something I've noticed. When people ask why, most of the time, they aren't really curious. They're not genuinely trying to understand your perspective. What they're doing is probing for cracks. They're looking for a reason to argue, to judge, or to feel better about their own inaction. Because if they can make you doubt yourself, it makes them feel safe about staying in their comfort zone. I'll tell you a story from my own life. Years ago, I had what most people would call a dream job. Solid paycheck, health benefits, job security. The kind of position people brag about at family gatherings. On the outside, it looked perfect, but inside, I felt stuck. Every day felt like I was trading my life away for something I didn't even believe in. I wanted to break free, chase something I was actually passionate about, something that mattered to me. So I made the leap. I walked away. And as you can imagine, that's when the questions started flooding in. Why would you leave something so stable? Do you know how rare jobs like that are? What if you fail? At first, I did what most people do. I explained. I explained the long hours, the stress, the lack of meaning. I explained my passion, my vision, my reasons. I thought if I explained well enough, they'd finally understand. But here's the painful truth I discovered. No explanation was ever enough. The more I explained, the more questions came. The more I justified, the more judgment I faced. It was like pouring water into a bucket with a hole in it. It never filled. And eventually I realized I wasn't explaining for me. I was explaining for them. I was trying to prove myself to people who weren't living my life in the first place. Then came the turning point. One day, someone looked at me with that same skeptical look and asked, "Why would you ever leave a job like that?" But instead of launching into my usual speech, I did something different. I looked them straight in the eye and simply said, "Because I wanted to." Then I stopped talking. No defending, no nervous laughter, just silence. And let me tell you, that silence was powerful. They froze. For the first time, they had nothing to say. Because what could they argue with? It wasn't logic. It was my choice. That moment taught me something life-changing. You don't owe explanations for your decisions. Not to friends, not to family, not to strangers. When you stop explaining, you stop giving other people the power to put your life on trial. Here's why this matters. Every time you over-explain yourself, you send a subtle message, even if you don't mean to, that other people's opinions carry more weight than your own. But when you answer simply, when you keep it short, when you say, "Because I want to," or even "because it's right for me," you flip the script. You remind yourself and them that your choices aren't up for debate. And let's be real. This isn't just about big life decisions like careers. It's in the everyday moments too. Think about when you turn down an invitation. People say, "Why aren't you coming?" Do you really need to write a 3-paragraph essay about it? No. A simple, "I can't make it," is enough. Or maybe you make a lifestyle choice, diet, exercise, how you spend your weekends. Someone questions it. Do you really owe them a breakdown of your personal priorities? No. So let me challenge you. The next time someone questions your decision, try resisting the urge to explain. Just give a simple, direct answer. And then stop. Let the silence carry the weight. And here's where I want to hear from you. Could you do that? Could you resist that instinct to explain? Or do you find yourself constantly defending your choices? Drop a comment below and let me know, because I think a lot of people struggle with this, and your experience might just inspire someone else watching. And if this message is striking a chord with you, if you've ever felt drained from over-explaining yourself, do me a favor, hit that like button right now. It tells me this kind of content is connecting with you, and it helps more people discover these powerful lessons. Here's the bottom line. Your life is not a courtroom, and you are not on trial. You don't owe the world a defense attorney's argument every time you make a choice. Sometimes the most powerful statement you can make is no explanation at all. 4. Keep your distance. Let me start with a story that might feel all too familiar. Have you ever had someone in your life who seems to drain your energy every time you interact with them? You know the type. They constantly criticize, make subtle digs, or undercut your choices. Maybe it's a friend, a family member, or even a coworker. And no matter how much you try to brush it off, it lingers. That tension, that frustration, it starts affecting your mood, your confidence, even your joy. Here's the truth many of us forget. Not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life. Not everyone deserves access to your time, your energy, or your peace of mind. And when you recognize that something powerful happens, you start reclaiming control. Let me tell you about my experience. I had a friend who, over the years, always had something negative to say. At first, I tried to ignore it. I laughed along, hoping it was harmless. I told myself, they're just joking, maybe I'm too sensitive. But slowly, those little comments started building up like tiny cracks in a wall. Each interaction left me more drained, less excited to share my successes, constantly bracing for the next jab. I realized that this pattern wasn't going to change, and neither was I going to keep sacrificing my peace. So I decided to make a choice. I would protect my energy. And I want to be clear, this wasn't about drama. I didn't yell, I didn't call them out, and I didn't make a scene. I simply started keeping my distance. At first, it felt strange. It felt almost selfish. But slowly, I started noticing the effects. By limiting my exposure, seeing them less, responding less, and creating natural boundaries, I felt lighter. Every conversation no longer carried the weight of expectation or criticism. I was free to enjoy my time with people who actually uplifted me. My energy, my focus, my mental clarity, they all improved. Here's a key point. Distance doesn't have to be dramatic. It's not about burning bridges or ending relationships. It's about creating space. Space to breathe, space to think, space to protect your peace. Imagine your life as a garden. You can't let weeds take over, even if they've been there for years. Sometimes, pruning is necessary to allow your flowers to grow. That's exactly what keeping your distance does. It's a form of self-respect and self-preservation. I want you to think about this. Who in your life constantly brings negativity or tension? Are you giving them too much access to your energy? Could creating some space actually help you feel lighter, more focused, and more at peace? Drop a comment below. I genuinely want to hear your stories. Sometimes just naming it is the first step toward reclaiming your energy. And here's a little reminder. If this resonates with you, hit that like button right now. It's a simple way to reinforce your commitment to protecting your peace and helps others find this content too. Let me add another layer. Distance also helps you see the situation more clearly. When you're constantly entangled in negativity, it's hard to recognize who truly deserves your time and who doesn't. By stepping back, you gain perspective. You start noticing which relationships bring joy, which bring growth, and which simply drain you. It's like clearing fog from a window. You suddenly see the path forward with clarity. Here's the beauty. Keeping your distance communicates more than words ever could. Without confrontation, without anger, you're sending a message. I respect myself enough to protect my peace. And the powerful thing is, most people immediately feel it. They might try to test boundaries at first, but your consistent calm distance reinforces your value. Finally, let's make this actionable. I want you to try something over the next week. Identify one person who consistently disrespects or drains you. Set a boundary. Limit interactions. Observe the change in your energy, your focus, and your emotional state. You don't need to explain it to them, justify it, or feel guilty. Your peace is your priority. Think about this. If you protected your energy as fiercely as you protect other things in your life, your work, your goals, your health, how much stronger and more confident would you feel? How much more in control of your life would you be? So here's the challenge. Commit to keeping your distance from one source of negativity this week. Notice the difference. And remember, distance isn't cruelty. It's self-respect. It's choosing peace over drama. And honestly, it might just be one of the most liberating decisions you ever make. 5. Hold your head high. Let me start with a question. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to thrive on making others feel small? They interrupt, criticize, or make subtle digs, almost as if they're testing how much they can shake your confidence. And if you're like most of us in the past, you've probably felt that twinge of doubt or insecurity. Maybe you slouched, avoided eye contact, or even tried to shrink into yourself, hoping they'd go away. I've been there too. Here's the thing. Disrespect is all about control. People who disrespect you are looking for a reaction. They want to see you insecure, hesitant, or apologetic. And here's the secret weapon that flips the script entirely. Your posture, your presence, your confidence. Simply put, when you hold your head high, shoulders back, chest open, you send a silent, unshakable message. I know who I am, and your words won't change that. I remember a moment that changed everything for me. Early in my career, I was in a meeting where a colleague made a snide comment about my work in front of the entire team. At first, I froze. My instinct was to slouch, to make myself smaller, to hope no one noticed my embarrassment. But then I paused. I straightened up, shoulders back, chin up. I met their eyes calmly, without a word. And you know what happened? The room shifted. The tension dissolved. Their comment lost its power immediately. It wasn't just about posture. It was about owning my space, my confidence, and my worth. Here's why this works. Confidence is disarming. People who thrive on disrespect can't find leverage when you're unshakable. When you hold your head high, you're literally telling them, I don't need your validation. I don't need your approval. I'm enough as I am. That simple, silent message can diffuse tension faster than any argument or explanation ever could. Now, I wanted to pause for a second. Think about your own life. How often do you let someone else's words or opinions dictate your posture, your energy, your confidence? Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your experience. Sometimes just admitting it out loud is the first step toward reclaiming your power. And here's a little tip. Holding your head high isn't just about standing tall physically. It's about mindset. Every time you catch yourself doubting or feeling small, remind yourself, I am not defined by someone else's opinion. I am stronger than their words. Over time, this practice rewires your brain. Confidence becomes natural. People notice. Respect follows. Quick pause here. If you've ever struggled with confidence or been put down by others, hit that like button. It's a small action that reminds you to reclaim your power and inspires others to do the same. I want to give you one more real-life example. I used to avoid networking events because I feared judgment or criticism. I would shrink in the corner, trying not to be noticed. But then I made a conscious decision. I would walk into every room like I belonged there, shoulders back, head high, smile on my face. The result? Not only did I feel more confident, but people treated me differently too. Doors opened, conversations flowed, opportunities appeared. And all of it started with one simple choice: to hold my head high, no matter what anyone else thought. So here's my challenge for you. The next time someone tries to undermine you, whether it's a comment, a critique, or just negativity, stand tall. Literally. Walk tall. Speak calmly. Look them in the eye. Feel the power that comes from owning your space. It's subtle yet transformative. Remember this. Respecting yourself teaches others how to treat you. Confidence isn't arrogance, it's a shield. And holding your head high is one of the most immediate, visible ways to show the world that you won't be shaken. Think about it. What would your life look like if, starting today, you never shrank in the face of disrespect again? How would people respond if you walked through every situation with calm confidence and unshakable self-respect? Comment below. I want to hear your thoughts on taking this step. So there you have it. 5 powerful ways to handle disrespect without losing your cool. 1. Embrace the silent stare. Sometimes words aren't needed. A calm, unwavering look can speak louder than any argument. People who try to provoke you are usually fishing for a reaction, but when you simply stare back, unbothered and silent, you flip the power dynamic. I remember one meeting where a colleague kept cutting me off. At first, I tried talking over it, but he wouldn't stop. Then I leaned back, crossed my arms, and stared silently. Just 5 seconds. That moment of silence changed everything. He stumbled, looked away, and never interrupted me again. 2. Let silence be your answer. Silence isn't weakness. It's control. People who disrespect you thrive on your reactions. The moment you stop engaging, their words lose impact. I once had someone constantly hide insults as jokes. One day, instead of defending myself, I simply raised an eyebrow and said nothing. The silence stretched. They fidgeted, muttered, and dropped it. After that, they never tried again. Silence protects your energy and starves negativity of the attention it craves. 3. Stop explaining your choices. How often have you felt pressured to justify your decisions? People demand explanations not to understand, but to judge or make you doubt yourself. When I left a stable job to pursue my passion, I initially explained myself in detail, but no matter what I said, it wasn't enough. One day, someone asked, "Why would you leave that job?" I simply said, "Because I wanted to," and stopped. The silence that followed was priceless. People eventually stopped asking. Stop explaining. It's not rude. It's claiming ownership of your life. 4. Keep your distance. Not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life. If someone constantly disrespects you, protect your energy by stepping back. I had a friend who always criticized everything I did. For years, I tolerated it, but slowly, those little jabs chipped away at my peace. I didn't cut them off dramatically. I simply started limiting my time. The freedom and peace I felt were incredible. Distance isn't cruelty, it's self-respect. 5. Hold your head high. Finally, the ultimate move, confidence. People who disrespect you want you small and insecure. Stand tall, shoulders back, head high. It's a silent declaration. I know my worth, and your words don't define me. I used to slouch, avoid eye contact, and shrink when criticized. But the moment I decided to walk tall, everything changed. Comments lost their bite. Confidence disarms disrespect, and it reminds you of your own power. Life's too short to spend proving yourself to people who will never see your worth. Respect starts with you. The more you claim it, the less room there is for anyone else's negativity. If this video gave you value, smash that like button. Subscribe for more content on building confidence and owning your life, and share this with someone who needs a reminder to stand tall. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever used silence or distance to handle disrespect? Did it work? Drop your story in the comments below, because your experience might inspire someone else. Thanks for watching, and remember, you don't need anyone's permission to respect yourself. Quick heads up for your next video. If you want to know the 7 hidden reasons why you look younger than your age, you don't want to miss the next video. It's packed with surprising tips straight from the Stoic empire that most people completely overlook. Click on it now and discover what's keeping you looking youthful without trying.